Did her first, what is the first TEDx talk you did?
Last month.
Yes, last month she did her first TED talk, so I think more will follow. So she is going to talk about her topic, which is exploring ourselves, make the best of your life. Ladies, make this as energetic as possible, and it gives me a little bit of more energy also to carry on the program and be there with you guys. So as people then start walking in, so Rita, or I call her Super Devi.
Yeah, thank you all, and it's a joy to be here, and so special that now in person I am here to be the first one to speak. That makes it all the more special for me very personally, and really good to begin. So, what a person can be, what we can become, we must be, says Abraham Maslow. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce myself. Again, I am Dr. Rita Jairath, IFBB Pro Bodybuilding Athlete and IFBB Pro-League International Judge. I'm also a writer. I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer. I am a World Peace Ambassador with Walk Hard Foundation. I am a student of culinary diet. I have a business in New Delhi, and I am the mother of a very special child. Take all the love, safety, security in the world, and for all their importance, they cannot complete the jigsaw that makes a person or the pyramid that constitutes the needs within. According to Abraham's need hierarchy, we need to fulfill our potential. You might have heard of self-actualization. Self-actualization represents the highest level of motivation that drives us to meet our highest potentials. Self-actualization needs are also known as being needs, and it represents our personal and creative growth that can be achieved through fulfillment of our potentials. To be self-actualized, we need to explore ourselves and create our own set of permutations and combinations of activities and pathways depending on our circumstances and capabilities to take our being to its highest self. Unless and until we explore ourselves and fail over and over again, we cannot complete this journey. Both temporary failures and failure to a dead end are extremely important to create milestones as well as turning points. While temporary failures tell us that we need to push harder, a failure to a dead end tells us when to detach ourselves, stop, and find alternative paths. Therefore, failures are extremely important to create our own unique, definitive pathways. The very concept of embracing failures and in fact being thankful for it can be very gratifying. How special it becomes when we embrace failure and say, wow, now I know my next step for sure. God is unfolding the mystery of my life. We need to look at ourselves as a soul with a body and not a body with a soul. Only then we can watch the story of our own life with a parallel sense of detachment. To be in it without being involved. And so once we know where to stop, we start looking at alternative fields of creativity. There is a whole new world out there further and beyond, and you never know, we might just discover ourselves and merge with our true calling. So this is when we begin multitasking and touching the periphery of the area of creativity. This is when we begin to widen our horizons of thinking. This is when we begin to round off our persona. This is when we can explore ourselves further and tell ourselves and exemplify to the world that this unique combination is very much possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you, I'd like to give you a little glimpse of my life, and although I have spoken about it earlier on this very stage, I would like to put it in context with my journey of self-actualization and exploring myself. So, since the time I was born, my mother suffered from auditory hallucinations and schizophrenia. And needless to say that I, as an individual, craved for a lot of love and affection. And the only way out for me at that time was to put my best foot forward in every field and excel just to get that love and adulation. Of course, now it doesn't matter. Now I only give unconditionally, and that makes me ecstatic, and I think I have maybe discovered that about myself, and I'm sure it holds for a lot of you also. So as I tried to excel in just everything that I did, I realized that there were so many fields that actually I didn't relate to, I just didn't belong. And then a few where I did achieve a certain level of excellence, but never that absolute extreme perfection. And I decided to be kind to myself. But even having a superficial and cursory understanding of the fields where I didn't belong helped to give me a perspective and fill in the incomplete zones within me and round me out further around my inner self. You know, just to say exercise of the mind or to generate more neurons or maybe gymnastics of the brain or to stimulate the dormant areas of the brain. I tried in my initial years of explorative learning, I tried to do those tiny little things where I learned the process of learning. Say, a lot of people might not care to try all those things these days, like sewing or knitting or embroidery or playing the banjo or maybe the old school typewriter, those little things we do in childhood for learning and you know, teaching ourselves. Many of which I have even forgotten today and haven't done all that since ages. But the most important lesson that I learned was the process of learning. Learning how to learn was the most important lesson that I learned. The foundational values of precision and perception of aesthetics and beauty in its truest perspective have stayed with me. So learning how to learn is something that can stay with you and be with you forever and guide you through in every stage of life. Outdoor play was an integral part of everyone's childhood. And me having an inherent inclination for sports, we used to participate consistently in everything, but somehow I couldn't achieve what I thought I had in me in spirit. When I look back, I realized that actually optimum nutrition was an issue. My mother was struggling with her own extreme sickness, and in those days I was actually surviving on maybe biscuits or leftovers from neighbors and so on. But then now I do look back and take responsibility for it. And so as destiny may have it, I got married early, relatively early, and with the hope of receiving a lot of love and affection from my in-laws and getting an opportunity to study further so that I could rise and shine and reach my potentials and so on. I thought that since I'm going to a normal household, it would end like a fairy tale and I would be happy ever after and so on. I soon realized that it was impossible in a typical orthodox patriarch Indian family. I'm sure many of you know that. So things went on, and then my son was born, and I felt that now I finally have someone who would be my best friend And I would do whatever I could to give him a happy life and help him excel in everything in which he wanted to do so. And he was diagnosed with autism. I was told he would be non-verbal, wouldn't be able to speak. And then every path that I walked on seemed to come to a dead end. I thought that since I have nothing to look forward to, I would take it upon myself to help him to get through this and try to get him to speak, to do something which was different and considered impossible. I was told that I may have to say work for 2 or 3 decades and maybe 30 hours in 24 hours, and it was just a gamble. I might lose my prime youth and then my years of professional growth, and then it was just really a gamble. Things may still not work out, but then I had to just do it. Because of the kind of past that I had, it did give me a lot of motivation. So we didn't have Google in those days, and I told one of my relatives in US to send me literature by post. 3 decades ago, we really didn't have anything. I studied the Encyclopedia Britannica from a few libraries here, and I observed how psychotherapists taught children with special needs, and I created my own therapeutic modalities to help his specific individual self. It was quite a journey, but long things cut short. Today, he's a postgraduate from UK. He sings classical music. He's learning that. He's doing an online job. He helps me in my business, in my household chores, and he helps to type my articles. I'm an old school person writing on the register, and he helps me to type it. So with all the challenges of autism still there at the age of 33, we have somehow achieved relative harmony. So they say that when you put mehendi on someone else's hand, henna has a sacred and cultural significance in our society. Your hands to imbibe the same color. So metaphorically, it means that you do good to someone and then good things happen to you. So my dream, in the process of helping him through his school and university education, I did my education all over again. I did my training in classical music from Prayag Sangeet Samiti, Allahabad. These autistic children have cerebral hypoplasia. Cerebellum is responsible for balance. In that quest, we did several skating and swimming competitions, and we won medals, mother and child together. It was lovely. And in the process of teaching him weight training, I went on to become one of the pioneering women bodybuilding athletes from India, to put Indian women bodybuilding, to represent India so extensively on global stage. I'm really very immodest about saying that I've been instrumental in putting Indian women bodybuilding on the world map. Today, I am the first and the only IFBB Pro-League Women Bodybuilding International Judges in Asia. Obviously, my journey has been very unique and unconventional, very unconventional. And one of the things I have realized is, if you are ahead of your times and you are different, there will be times when no one will understand your point of view, your vision, your journey, your outlook. You may be understood much later. So I too had my share of criticism. I was ridiculed for trying something which is not possible. I was criticized for maybe not paying just as much attention to the rest of the family members, relatives, social events, or maybe being too self-centered, and as I was so focused on my own specific individual journey and so on. I would tell myself that accepting criticism gracefully and becoming the bad person in everybody's eyes was a part of my sacrifice. Gulping venom silently for your larger cause and still standing tall, inspired by Lord Shiva. तुमने सूली पे लटकते हुए जिसे देखा होगा, वक्त आएगा वही शख्स मसीहा होगा. So it happens, it will be much later when people will begin to realize your vision. So people ask me about my quest with this multitasking. I would like to also talk about the special child thing, that if you have a special child or a family member in the neurodiverse spectrum, you might get isolated. Use this isolation to enhance your skills and enrich your soul. God is on your side. Just do everything and leave all your problems on God. It's God's problem now. God will take care of everything. You have a parent up there. And the most important lesson, as I always say, that you'll always learn in bringing up a special child is the process of learning. You will master the art of breaking down every apparently impossible thing into tiny micro steps. And as you conquer each step, you will realize that you can do anything that you desire. That gives you tremendous faith and confidence. You will be at a mental level and a state of mind that nothing seems impossible. You just need to make up your mind and do it. And you will never disrespect anybody, even if that person is at his all-time low, because you know that no matter what happens, you can again create, recreate, and rise like the phoenix does from the ashes. You will never ridicule anybody who is different. Coming back to multitasking, when people ask me that how do you do all this weight training and bodybuilding and then traveling and judging shows and then Bharatnatyam and calorie diet and your business and personal training, writing, family, car insurance, electricity, plumber, makeup, all that. So I would say that the very diversity in these things can be very refreshing. There is never a redundant and boring moment. You reach a mental level and state of mind that you just need to be able to, shift focus, distract, align, realign, and again get focus. It's a cyclic thing, and that in itself can lift you very much spiritually. That itself needs a certain level of discipline and a meditative state of mind that can really help to elevate you. You begin to see the universality in diverse things. In things which are absolutely contradictory, you may feel that there is a similarity. You will realize that all achievers follow the same parallel path and the algorithm. You will begin to feel an inner connect with all achievers. And at the same time, repetition should never be perceived as boring and redundant, especially if it is for practice and consistency. Even if you don't feel like doing something repeatedly, it needs to be done to keep the art and the strength alive, and then do it all much better when you are in a position to do so and just take off. Every time you repeat something, it becomes a greater and deeper part of your being. On further repetitions, you begin perceiving every repetition differently and applying it in your creative endeavors. So every time you read a book repeatedly, over and again, you repeat a moment or repeat a performance with conscious awareness, you begin perceiving it in harmony with the universe. The physicality of it manifests itself in the universe. My message to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that value every moment, and every breath in this universe. You will begin to see the divine in every tiny thing, every small flower, every blade of grass, and every apparently mundane activity. If we restrict our thoughts and actions, we will never be able to know our purpose of life or be able to unite with the universe. In being supremely connected to so many infinite things today. I value my presence before you today. I'm thankful to you all for listening to me, and I hope that my journey will help in some way to reinforce the zest and enthusiasm in you to realize your potentials and pursue your journey of self-actualization. I thank Dr. Alok Pandit, my brother, and also Dr. Bhatia, he is not here, with whom I share a profound human connect as we both are taking care of God's special children and have a parallel journey. In all humility, I bow down.